Hey guys, I've gotten quite a few questions about the technique for paradiddle breakdown. We went through this a little bit at clinics last week, and I think I might have confused you guys, so I wanted to make a quick explanatory video. So, if you remember, what I was saying is that there's a nice flowing motion from hand to hand. And I've explained it to you guys with an analogy where the pad represents a trampoline and your hands represent people on two different ends of the trampoline, so that if your right hand hits the trampoline, then it makes your left hand bounce up, and vice versa. It's this teetering motion. Now, it's not a perfect analogy because it's not immediate. My hand doesn't bounce up right away, but if I'm playing the exercise, you can see, I'll just play paradiddles and you can see that there's this motion going on. Okay, it's not stiff, it's not. That's why I'm asking you guys to incorporate some arm. So when you're doing that check pattern at the beginning, let it flow from hand to hand. Use a little arm, and that weight is also going to help you with the rebound when you get to the diddles. Again, this motion stays the same, so it might be good for you to just practice the motion back and forth without playing, and then add it in. Keep it consistent. Every pattern. So that's the whole point of the exercise, is to get your hands moving and to get this repetitious movement over and over and over again so that it gets ingrained into your muscle memory. And once that happens, and that's what we're trying to do with everything. 8 on a hand, diddles, accent taps, flam quality, all that stuff is about muscle memory, so that when it comes to learning music, we don't really have to think about, oh, okay, I'm playing a right, left, right, right. No, your brain automatically knows what a paradiddle is, and it just comes out. I know exactly what that means. So if I'm just messing around, I can play paradiddles and paradiddle diddles because I've done it for years. I'm not thinking about exactly the stickings that are coming out because my muscle memory it's totally ingrained. So keep that in mind. It's a nice flowing motion, and one important thing to note is that at the bottom of the stroke for the check pattern and for the entire exercise, make sure that you're stopping the stroke. And I've asked you guys not to play staccato, so I don't want you guys to squeeze off the stroke to stop it, but I also don't want a bounce here. And the way that we're going to achieve that is simply by wrapping the fingers around. So all I'm doing, if I were to take my fingers off and play the stroke, you can see that it bounces. All I'm going to do is wrap my fingers around, and you see that the stroke is stopped. I'm not tense at all. I'm still completely relaxed. Wrap them around, and it stops it. Simple as that. Same thing on the other hand. Wrap them around. So what I want you guys to do is be cognizant of the way that your fingers are wrapping around. So I don't want a big gap back here. That's a tendency for a lot of new players, is to kind of have your fingers barely on the sticks. No, we want to go ahead and move that stick over and have the fingers completely wrapped around it. So no gap back here. Same thing as, remember I was telling you, no gap here between the thumb. We want a nice tight fulcrum. So in the back, if we were to play this way with our fingers with that gap, it's hard to stop that bounce. You see it kind of teeters back and forth. But as soon as I wrap it around, it's easy to stop. So keep that in mind.